All right, y'all, welcome to another video from the Redneck and Peni. This video is going to be a little bit of it's going to be a lot of a rant. Oh, hold on, everybody. Just wait just a minute. Okay. All right, I'm prepared. I had to get my scarf on here from my buddy Glenn. He's been giving me a hard time about this scarf here, this Irish scarf, and that will come a little bit into this story here. So stay tuned for that. So anyway, guys, I want to read you a little bit of a, this is a text message I got from my buddy Glenn. And he was in, I think it was Kyoto, Japan, when he sent me this message. And but anyway, it's applicable to what we're going to talk about here in just a minute. So bear with me. So Glenn tells me, he goes, I want to know if you have come across this technology for checking into a hotel in Europe. Today we encountered for the second time an electronic check-in. As we were checking in, an employee came out, not sure who she was, but I told her of my dislike for this type of check-in, and I explained my reasons. I said as humans we are supposed to interact and connect with each other through communication and body language. I said the machine takes that away. Further said that I am all for technology, but believe there is a time and a place for it. She aged around 40, said that her parents said the same thing as what he said. The machine scans passports, takes pictures, issues you a card reader for your room, and you're required to do someone's job by entering the data. It's also an electronic checkout. And he goes on to tell me, I'll tell you the world is doomed. More and more people will feel isolated and mental health issues will increase. Well, I totally agree with Glenn on this topic, and we ran across this. In answer to his question, yes, we have run across this in Europe. We have stayed in 2 hotels, I guess hotels, Airbnbs, however you want to look at it, apartments. I booked these on booking.com, and we have yet to actually talk to a human being with the check-in or check-out of any place that we have stayed in Paris or in Brussels. So yes, we have run across the same issue. We're not talking to a person. Any correspondence has been done through an app, through a text message or something like that, or through email, either through my personal email or through booking.com, where they're asking me if I need some more towels or if I need room service for the day or something like that. But I have yet to hear a person's voice. And so I've tolerated it. On top of that, you can't hardly travel anymore. You cannot hardly travel. You've got to have your QR code for your tickets so that some person can scan that QR code so that you can get on the airplane or you can get on the bus or whatever the case, right? We've run into this with airfare and also the bus, and I'm sure tomorrow we're going to run into this when we get on the train. You've got to have a QR code to actually, so somebody can have a phone or some type of a scanner, scan your QR code and make sure you're supposed to get on. Simple as that, right? Instead of looking at a piece of paper with your name on it and your passport and going, oh, okay, that's you. Yes, you have a valid ticket and welcome to our train or welcome to our plane or welcome to our bus. We don't get that. We don't get that interaction anymore. Well, tonight, it really just blew me away. I had my ass full of it, and I'm sorry for my language, but I'm a little pissed off about some of this. We went to this place, and it's O'Reilly's. It was an O'Reilly's pub. It's right in smack dab in the downtown area, right there by the Grand Place in downtown Brussels. Here's a picture of it. So you know where not to go, right? Don't go to this place. And I think more and more people need to start doing this to make a point to management. It's not the employee's fault. And unfortunately, they have to take the brunt of our unhappiness with the situation at hand. Even in Tandog City, which is a very remote town in the Philippines, you cannot go to McDonald's in Tandog City without first going to one of their little kiosk things and trying to do the electronic thing, which never works. It never, ever works. A matter of fact, they have an employee that stands out there at the kiosk and helps people through this because the machine doesn't work. It never works. And then you have to take your little piece of paper that they print off, killing more trees, and then you walk over to the counter and you hand that to a person, and then they check you out. It makes absolutely no sense. But what I'm saying is this sort of stupidity goes on even in the provinces of a third world country or a developing country of the Philippines. It's got that far. And guys, I'll be honest with you. Me and Christine, we live in our little town. It's a cash-only deal. I never whip out any kind of a card or anything in our little town. It just doesn't happen. The closest I ever come to electronic payment is when I'm buying something off Amazon on my phone, or I go to City Hardware in Tandog City. They will take an American credit card there. And that's only if I'm buying something that's quite a bit of money, you know. But most of the time, we're on a cash basis. 90% of my life involves a cash basis, and I absolutely love it. I love it. I hate this electronic world that's come in, and it's all happened since the whole COVID nightmare. It's almost like the tech bros, all the tech giants, they made this situation for the entire world, right? So that we would all go to this and become hermits, and we wouldn't talk to each other anymore, so that they can throw in their tech so that we have to use it. And and that's the world we come. It all comes down to dollars and cents so that they can sell their tech to all these companies. Well, I'm going to tell you, O'Reilly's in downtown Brussels lost my business tonight. And if you haven't been out for dinner I don't know, guys, I've only been in 2 countries in Europe so far, so I can't really speak with a whole lot of knowledge here. But in the 2 countries that I've been to in Europe, if you want to go out for an evening meal for 2, and you want to have a couple of drinks with that, like a beer or something like that, you're going to spend at least 50 euro, which is about 60 US dollars. We have spent up around 80 US dollars for a meal for 2 in one given night in Paris. Well, that's a lot of money. I don't care how you want to look at it. When I could, if I was living here or something like that, I don't have to go out. I just go to the grocery store and buy my food and cook it at home, just like we do back at home in the Philippines, right? Well, so what I'm saying is eating out is a luxury. Now, as a tourist, it's a necessity. I don't necessarily have a place here, a place with a kitchen to where Christine can whoop us up some daggum corned beef and rice in the morning. It just don't happen that way. So we're at their mercy. So we go into O'Reilly's. We've been eating a lot of Belgium type food. We've been eating a lot of Asian food. We've eaten a lot of ramen. We've eaten a lot of Thai food, and it's been great. It really has been. A lot of food that we don't get to eat in the province there in the Philippines. So tonight I was like, hey, let's go to that O'Reilly's place. I want to get some fish and chips. Just some fried fish and some French fries, right? And so we go in there, and the first thing we did, it was kind of a warm night tonight. And so I was like, hey, let's sit outside. People watch and, have a drink and have our food and just sit out here and enjoy the night. And so we sit down, and there's some employees coming out and clearing the tables, right? Well, they've got a QR code that's sitting right in the middle of the table. Like it's screwed into the table. It's like a little plastic piece. And apparently you're supposed to, use this QR code, and you can order your food and your drinks online. So Christine pulls her phone out and she scans the QR code. It doesn't work. So we're like, well, this ain't going to work. So we sit there for a little bit, and then one of the bus boys comes out, and he comes through, and we're like, hey, how do we order food? And he goes, oh, well, you got to go inside. And we're like, okay. So, we went inside, and we found us a table. It was a nice table by the window, so we could still kind of people watch and look outside and everything. And it wasn't busy in there. It wasn't real busy at this time. We were there a little bit early. And so Christine, she scans the QR code on this particular table, and it works. Like it takes her to an app and all this kind of stuff. And she starts going on it, and we order, we find a couple of Guinness that we want, and we get ready to order them. I want the fish and chips. Christine's wants something else. Chicken wings, of course. And so we get our order ready, and she's sitting there, and she's like, hey, what's your U.S. phone number? I've got a U.S. phone number. So she tries to plug it in, and it won't take it. So she tries the Philippine number that we have, and it won't take that one either. Well, all right. So you have to have a Brussels phone number to go, or a Belgium phone number to go any further in their app and order your freaking food. And I was like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. So I was like, fine. I get up and I go up to the bar. Well, I'm standing at the bar, and then over here there's like 3 ladies standing in line, and they're ordering with one of their bartenders. And then there's another bartender that's, right in front of me, and he's getting a beer order from somebody. And so that guy orders his beer, and he's staying there waiting on his beer. And so that bartender goes and gets the beer, comes back, hands him his beer, doesn't even acknowledge I'm there. And then there was a third bartender standing in the back. It won't even look my way. And I'm like, well, this is kind of strange. And so the frustration's starting to build up on me now. I'm like, good Lord, I can't use their app because I don't have a Belgium phone number. I'm standing here. There's 3 employees standing behind the bar. One of them isn't doing anything. The other one just finished with the customer that just ordered a beer right in front of me. But nobody will look my direction and make eye contact with me so that I can go, hey, can I order? And so finally, I stood there long enough, and I was like, I've had enough. So I go back to the table, and I tell Christine, and I was like, I don't think these people want my business. And so I was like, let's just go find somewhere else to eat. And so we start walking, and Christine walks out the door. Well, I go up to the bar. And I finally told the guy, I said, hey, I got his attention finally. And I said, hey, I just want to let you know we're leaving because we couldn't find anybody to take our order. And he goes, oh, we don't have table service here. And I said, fair enough. And I said, goodbye. And we walked out the door. And we found us a nice Thai restaurant where we got excellent service. Heck, the guy wouldn't even let me pour my Coca-Cola in my cup. He had to pour it for me. Matter of fact, he even scooped my rice out of the rice bowl onto my plate for me. And it was a really good meal. But anyway, I told Christine, you know what? I'm drawing a line in the sand. I am drawing a line in the dirt. Right here, right now. If I get it, there are some instances where I can't avoid this electronic world that we're in. When it comes down to, like, okay, here's a for instance, Cebu Pacific Airlines. We go in, Christine will check in to our flight online. She's already got our boarding passes on her phone. And this is in Butuan usually. And we will go up to the counter and they're like, oh, you've got to go check in on the kiosk over here first. And we're like, we've already checked in. Oh, no, but you got to go over here to the kiosk first. I'm like, okay. So then you got to go to the kiosk. You've got to do that. And it's usually screwed up. You can't, they won't work. They'll get you so far. And then you've got to get an employee to come over there to help you through the rest of it. And then after that, you get to go up to and talk to the person at the desk and finish your check-in process and put your bags on the deal and everything else, right? It's stupidity. It's absolute stupidity. At least the Belmont in Manila where we stay, man, great service there. They've got plenty of people working the desk. You actually get to talk to a human being when you're checking in and checking out. They've got bellhops that come over there and take your luggage for you. They'll even take it over to the airport terminal entrance for you and all that kind of stuff. Good service with them. And that's what people enjoy. That's what people like. And we joke around with the employees. We have a good time talking to them and we tip them, for their good service. And I get it. It's not the employee's fault. At O'Reilly's tonight, it's not the employee's fault. That is their company policy that they have put into place. And it's absolute stupidity. And that's why I wanted to make this video, is to let O'Reilly's here in Brussels know that, hey, you lost my business. Your competitor down the street, not even 100 yards down the street, got my business. And I spent in upwards of $50 US eating my dinner tonight. That was $50 US that you could have had if you would have just had a human being come up and talk to me and treat me like a human being. And my buddy Glenn is exactly right. And I saw this my last few years in the police department because, I was still a cop during the middle of COVID and when everybody was locked down and isolated and all that kind of stuff. And you could already see the amount of mental health problems starting to rise back then. And now you hear about it. I mean, I live in the Philippines, of course, but I keep track of what's going on in the U.S. and I see and I hear all these statistics and how mental health problems are going through the roof. Kids don't even know how to act anymore because they don't even talk to human beings face to face anymore. Social skills are completely dead. They're gone. People don't even know how to act. You've got people on cruise ship getting into fist fights because they don't know how to act anymore. Nobody knows manners, simple manners, because they're just not around people anymore. Now, one cool thing that I've noticed about being in Europe is, and this was true even of places in France and here in Belgium, and I assume it's going to be that way all over Europe, is when people sit down for a dinner, it doesn't matter if it's a group of people or just a couple, very rarely do they have their phones out. Their phones are in their pockets. They're not even laying on the table. And they're actually having conversations. And I think that's really cool. I think that's something Europeans do that Americans can definitely learn from. But I'm afraid that that's going to go by the wayside with all the technology that's out there right now and the way things are going. So I'm drawing a line in the sand, guys. I get it. I'm going to have to pull out my phone, show them my QR code to get on the train or to, do some of these other things that I have to do to travel. And I get it. I've already booked these hotels. I'm not going to just walk away from them. But something I do have some control over is where I spend my food money. And I'm spending a lot of money on food. And if I walk into your establishment and I don't get greeted by a human being, and I find out that I have to pull out my phone and scan a QR code just to read the menu or talk, to order my food or anything like that, I'm done. I will walk out of your establishment and I will not do business with you. I will not do it. I am drawing a line in the sand. And I hope a lot of people start doing the same and teach these businesses a lesson. We are not going to spend our money for your technology. We're not going to do it. Hire people and pay your people a living wage so that we can interact with them and they can give us good service and life will be good and you will make more money. But you're not getting a 1 peso, 1 red cent of my money if I have to use electronic means other than swiping my credit card for my meal. That should be the only thing I have to do, is use my credit card to pay for my meal. That's it. So anyway, guys, there's my rant. There's my message. I'm done preaching for the night. So anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more traveling to go. We got a couple of months of it, guys. I know it's terrible. It's terrible, but somebody's got to do it. Now, anyway, we're heading off tomorrow. We're going to jump on the train and we're heading to Amsterdam. So our next stop along the way is Amsterdam. And on my next video, I will tell you about where we stayed here in Brussels. It's been a really good place, except for the stairwell. I've already talked to y'all about that. But I will actually tell you where we're staying, and the location has been absolutely great. Now, you don't get to talk to a human here. We haven't spoken to a human being here, but that seems to be that's part of it nowadays. All right, guys, I appreciate it. We'll catch you on the next video.